It was a city frozen in time, yet brimming with life. Pompeii, nestled at the foot of Mount Vesuvius, glittered like a jewel of the Roman Empire. Streets bustled with merchants peddling goods. Children chased one another along sunlit alleys, and a scent of freshly baked bread mingled with the salty breeze from the Bay of Naples. Life seemed eternal in its vibrant rhythm, but beneath that veneer of ordinary, a sleeping terror waited, patient and indifferent. No one in Pompeii truly understood the mountain looming over them. Vesuvius was a silent colossus, a monument of nature's patience. Some scholars say that Romans feared it, others that they worshipped it, but the truth was that none could foresee the catastrophe it harbored in its molten heart. And yet, as the morning sun rose on August 24th, 79 AD, an ordinary day would soon transform into a nightmare etched into the fabric of history. It began subtly, almost imperceptibly. Birds fled the skies in erratic patterns. Dogs whimpered and paced nervously in their enclosures. The air grew heavy, carrying a faint sulfurous tang, a scent easily dismissed as a quirk of the wind. But the earth beneath them had begun its secret movements. For some, curiosity turned to alarm. Merchants noticed cracks forming in the walls of their shops, tiny fissures that whispered ominous warnings. One old man, a scholar of the stars, allegedly muttered to his companions that the omens were unmistakable. By midday, the first tremors shook Pompeii. They were brief, almost polite, easily ignored by those caught in the momentum of their routines. Women carried water from the fountains, unaware that each step echoed atop a trembling stage. Children laughed as they darted through the forum, the stones beneath their feet vibrating with a sinister rhythm. And still, life pressed on, as it always does, blissfully ignorant of the fate marching toward them. Then the sky changed. A shadow crept across the sun, not a cloud, but a darkness thicker than any storm. Witnesses would later describe it as a rolling mass, black as coal, twisting into a towering column that seemed to strangle the heavens. Vesuvius had awakened. What followed defies simple narration. A symphony of horror, punctuated by screams, crumbling stone, and a relentless rain of ash and rock. Pumice and volcanic debris fell like a surreal, apocalyptic snow, burying streets and plazas under their choking weight. The wealthy, who had once dined on delicacies imported from across the empire, fled in ornate chariots, only to find themselves ensnared in streets now impossible to navigate. Shopkeepers abandoned their goods, pensively leaving behind treasures and trinkets as the city itself became a living tomb. Few understood the nature of the eruption. Modern volcanologists describe Pompeii's destruction as a Plinian eruption, a violent expulsion of gas and molten rock capable of obliterating entire landscapes. But for the people there, it was nothing less than divine wrath, a force beyond comprehension. Historians have pieced together fragments of letters, inscriptions, and skeletal remains to reconstruct a city in collapse. Some perished instantly, frozen mid-step, mid-embrace. Others endured hours of torment, trapped under ash that preserved the exact posture of their final moments. And here lies a detail often overlooked. The ash did not simply kill. It preserved. It created an eerie, timeless archive of human existence. Archaeologists in the 18th and 19th centuries discovered casts of bodies, hollow spaces where flesh had decayed, but clothing, posture, and fear remained. It was as if Vesuvius had wanted not only to destroy, but also to remember, to immortalize the private, fleeting moments of its victims. A baker still clutched his bread, a mother her child, lovers their intertwined hands, fragments of life suspended in horror, yet strangely poignant. The eruption itself evolved in terrifying stages. First came pumice fall, suffocating streets and blocking sunlight. Then pyroclastic surges, clouds of searing gas and rock traveling faster than any human could flee. Witnesses would later report seeing people attempting to escape, their faces twisted in disbelief, voices lost to the unrelenting roar of the mountain. Some tried to hide indoors, believing the walls of their homes could protect them. They could not have been more wrong. The surges penetrated stone and timber alike, leaving nothing untouched. One of the most haunting aspects is that Pompeii was not only physically destroyed, it was psychologically annihilated. Personal stories were interrupted mid-gesture, aspirations extinguished mid-thought. Scholars today note the eerie human drama captured in skeletal remains. The positioning, the tiny scratches on walls from desperate hands, the faint impressions of sandals and ash, still visible centuries later. Each imprint is a silent scream, a momentary testament to fear and futility. And yet, amid the horror, Pompeii tells stories that defy despair. Archaeologists uncovered frescoes that survived the eruption, vibrant murals depicting Dionysian revelries, mythical beasts, and domestic life. Mosaics shimmered in color, a defiant whisper that beauty can endure even amidst annihilation. The city was a paradox, a site of ultimate destruction and of exquisite preservation. One cannot help but reflect on the cruel poetry of it, that in the act of eradicating life, Vesuvius also granted immortality. There are also obscure tales, rarely mentioned in popular accounts. One such story is a man believed to be a Roman senator who survived the initial surge. He supposedly fled to the nearby coast, only to succumb to exhaustion and inhalation of volcanic gases while gazing at his city in flames from afar. Another account describes a dog found centuries later, curled protectively around its skeleton, as if refusing to abandon its human companion even in death. These vignettes, trivial in scope but monumental in emotional resonance, remind us that history is composed not only of events but of lived experiences. Pompeii also challenges modern assumptions about ancient cities. Contrary to the romanticized visions of elegant streets and carefree citizens, it was a complex, bustling metropolis riddled with social stratification, poverty, and human frailty. The eruption didn't discriminate. Senators and slaves alike fell to the same indiscriminate fury. And in that, there is a lesson, perhaps more chilling than the eruption itself. Nature does not negotiate, it does not favor, and it does not forgive. Archaeological investigations continue to reveal secrets. Hidden chambers, frescoes beneath layers of plaster, and human remains trapped in forgotten corners provide insight into daily life that might otherwise have been lost. Carbon dating and chemical analysis have shown the victims inhaled ash and gases in their final moments, a silent witness to agony, captured in the minutiae of their lungs and bones. Some researchers speculate that the toxic atmosphere might have preserved bodies in ways that allow us to detect faint traces of their last meals, their last breaths, the ultimate, intimate record of mortality. Pompeii has become a mirror reflecting humanity's vulnerability. Every stone, every shadowed alley, every relic whispers of ambition, fear, love, and loss. And as tourists wander through the ruins today, they tread upon the remnants of lives extinguished almost 2 millennia ago, yet astonishingly present. The city is both a tomb and a canvas, a silent chronicle of the moment when human existence collided with the raw, unyielding power of nature. And still, one cannot help but wonder, what if Pompeii had survived? What lessons, what stories, what cultural treasures might have continued to influence generations? Perhaps that is part of the horror and the fascination, knowing that in a single, relentless day, all potential futures were sealed beneath layers of ash and stone. Modern technology has allowed us to peer further into Pompeii than ever before. Ground-penetrating radar and 3D reconstructions reveal streets that no archaeologist had ever walked, homes untouched since the eruption, and artifacts that illuminate aspects of Roman life invisible in written history. Even in death, Pompeii continues to reveal its secrets, a city eternally narrating its own story, demanding that we listen, horrified yet captivated. And so, Pompeii stands as a paradox, a city destroyed, yet immortal, a tragedy witnessed, yet preserved, a tale of human frailty told in the most permanent medium possible: stone, ash, and fire. It reminds us that life, as ordinary as it may seem, is perpetually at the mercy of forces beyond comprehension. And yet, through memory and story, it can endure indefinitely. Perhaps the most haunting fact of all is this: for centuries, people believed Pompeii was a tale of myth. And yet, standing there, amidst the shadows and remnants, it feels as though the city itself is still alive, whispering in the wind, warning us, enthralling us, daring us to remember. And when the sun sets behind the remnants of Vesuvius, casting long, dark shadows across the forum, one can almost hear the voices of the past, murmuring stories of love, fear, and the final, inescapable truth of mortality. Pompeii is more than history. It is a testament to the fragility of life, the capriciousness of fate, and the strange, beautiful cruelty of nature. And in that eerie twilight between shadow and light, we are reminded that every city, every life, and every moment is precarious, waiting for the unthinkable to arrive, silent and inevitable, like the mountain that once rained fire upon the world.